Okay. Okay, let's do it. So, yeah, let's start at the beginning. Tell me your scenario.
So I am a second year captain for Brooklyn High for a Brooklyn team, a mixed division, and I personally did a really bad job this offseason of like training up for the season, and as a result, in addition to like other life things, like have not had a lot of time during the season to play and strengthen my muscles and things like that. And so when I do play at tournaments, the last tournament I played for the first game and then like made some slight pulls on some muscles it felt like, and had to be out for the rest of the weekend. And I'm just like, I'm at this place now where like I've set myself up pretty poorly, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach the final tournament and then sectionals for this
Gotcha.
season.
Okay. Okay, so is the situation that you're really not able to make it through a tournament uninjured, or tell me a little bit more.
Uh, the pessimistic version of me says yes.
Okay.
I've been uh, so last week I took the whole week off to try and recuperate. I had like my neck was really sore to the point that I couldn't really turn my head all the way.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to rest that, and I think I'm probably back to like 75, 80%, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, so hopefully I would be able to just like monitor how my body feels throughout the day and play. But I mean, I guess part of what I'm curious about that I know you think about a lot is the mental aspect of it.
Hmm.
Because I'm definitely, I'm wishing, like, there was a time 2, 3 years ago when I was one of the fastest people on the team, and that is definitely not the case anymore.
Hmm.
And it's partially because I'm older, partially because I'm out of shape, and I'm kind of contending with that a little bit too, of just like um, feeling that I'm not using my body to its full potential.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that answered your question.
No, I
I'm
think
kind
that
of rambling.
I think that does. So there's a couple. Let's see. That answers a lot of questions. Yeah. So
Okay.
I guess the question was, can you make it through a tournament without getting injured? And the
Right.
answer is like, you're not sure, and that's fine. And then there's additional things like, the whole backstory. So what I'm hearing is that there's some tension or feelings around the idea of like who you used to be as a player versus like who you are in this moment right now. And there's
Yeah.
possibly a story about like, oh, or a story of regret, like, oh, if I would have prepared better, like then this wouldn't be happening to me.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so there's that all makes sense. That's kind of like some natural stories that I've heard before and told myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and the thing is like some of these stories are logical, right? And true, right? Like and like, for me especially, it's like, well, I'm getting older. And so
Yeah.
and then yeah, so um okay. So maybe a good question to ask is um how do you want to be feeling or acting, in the next like month or two as you finish out your season?
Um, well, I want to, as a captain, I want to be like leading the spirit of my team and making sure everyone's energy is up and sort of bringing people together. That's like my strength as a captain.
Mm.
Um, and I guess I want to figure out a way to either push myself in a way that makes sense personally, physically, or reframe the rest of the season in a way that like my the what I'm seeing currently as my personal failings doesn't get in the way of me being able to be like the sort of hype captain.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So let's see. So the kind of goals would be push yourself in a way that makes sense, or reframe the season. It's maybe a bit of both.
I think,
Um,
yeah.
so which, since we don't only have a short amount of time, which of those two directions do you want to focus on right now?
I'd love to. think more about pushing myself if there are ways that make sense to do that. I mean,
Okay.
like that's the thing that I have a harder time coming up with myself.
Okay, got it.
Um,
Okay. All right. So pushing yourself in a way that makes sense. So that means like, physically preparing and staying where you need to be. Okay. So what kind of stuff are you doing now?
so I mean, I have a gym routine, but it's been stop and start.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but so for now, I've been doing like 1 to 2 gym visits a week, plus like evening mini for like a couple hours,
Uh-huh.
um,
Okay, for a couple
and
hours.
then practices on the weekend or
Uh-huh.
or tournaments.
Okay. All right. And with that routine, that's basically putting you in the situation you are now where you're likely to have some tweaks at tournaments. Um, and you're kind of having to start and stop because of the injury factor. Are you doing
Yeah.
anything specifically for like recuperation, tissue maintenance, like injury prevention, prehab, rehab?
I've been doing some. I've been getting more into ice baths.
Okay.
Um, that's been the biggest thing, and then I've been doing. I try and supplement with yoga on off days.
Uh-huh.
Um, those are probably the two biggest, like specifically for. I mean, the other thing I do is I know, for instance, for me, my knees are weak, and I've been told before that it has to do with my hamstrings being weaker than my quads, and so that's like there's like an imbalance there. So I try and do hamstring strengthening exercises when I have a leg day,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Okay. Have
That's
you
what I've done.
talked to a physical therapist about this stuff?
I have before, and that's how I learned about the hamstring.
Okay.
I just booked a physical therapy appointment with a new person tomorrow.
Okay, great.
I'm
Okay.
hoping to learn
Yeah.
stuff there too.
Okay. And then how many more weeks do you have until regionals?
Sectionals. So this weekend we have our last regular season tournament, and then
Okay.
sectionals is the September 9th. Regionals is 2 weekends from that, I believe.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So you've got until the 6th of September. That's let's see, how many weeks is that? That's only 2 weeks about. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that might be right. Yeah, it's definitely coming up quick.
Yeah. So the 8th and so the 9th and 10th of September is the first weekend of September.
That's sectionals. Yeah,
That section.
yeah,
Okay, yeah. All right. So you've got about 2 weeks
yeah.
till
Then the
sectionals.
23rd, 24th is region.
Okay, yeah. All right. So 2 weeks till sectionals, two more until regionals, and you've got a tournament this weekend. Okay, um, so from a physical standpoint, in a month's time, there are some like physical aspects of you that change more quickly than others. Like strength, differences in strength take more time to shift either one way or the other. Differences in cardiovascular performance shift more quickly. Like that can change a little bit in 2 weeks' time. The things that can shift most are uh, kind of tissue quality issues, movement patterns. Those things can shift a little bit more quickly. And the things that shift most slowly are going to be strength development, power development, and agility, depending on like what kind of stuff that can shift either quickly or slowly, depending on if it's a neuromuscular thing or a physical thing. So all that is to say that the training that you're doing in the gym, what kind of stuff are you doing in the gym?
Um, I've been doing more like fast twitch
Okay.
um, exercises, more explosive,
Uh-huh.
uh, uh, like jump squats and things like that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Um,
And then what kind of tweaks are you getting when you're like having like injury issues or not, like you're just not able to make it through a tournament? Is it like muscle like tweaks and strains or other stuff?
uh, it's always around or it's often around the knees,
Okay.
often like below my kneecap,
Okay.
sometimes behind the kneecap. It's like different muscles then tend to be sort of tugging at the knee.
Got it. Okay. So, all right. So first of all, I'm not a physical therapist. So whatever your physical therapist says after what I say comes first.
Yeah.
But as far as like from a physical adaptations and performance perspective, it's possible that you might be better off scrapping those kind of exercises, those things that are high impact, or those things, and possibly focusing, or at least like toning the volume on those way down. Like you can still do some of it. I do think you should do some amount of high intensity movements that are what you're going to be doing on the field, because you want to be prepared for those. So I wouldn't scrap it completely, but I would tone the volume like way down. Like, even
Yeah.
a couple reps of the jump squats, or a couple reps of like max potential stuff, is really all you need to maintain like just the neuromuscular connection, the coordination, the remembering like this is what we're doing on the field kind of stuff. And then I would focus more on like, I think your goal as a player over the next month is just, can you get your body feeling as good as possible? And I think that's going to probably be best done with the cooperation of a physical therapist, who can, maybe do something, or like, this might be more difficult to find, but like a personal trainer that has a physical therapy background, because just you might get like a different variety of exercises, or exercises that are focused more on like prehab, rehabby stuff, um, specifically with the knees and the hips and the ankles.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I would kind of have that be your main priority from a physical perspective. And then your kind of recuperation stuff. I mean, that's going to be a lot of mobility work stuff probably, which is kind of similar to prehab, rehabby stuff. And tissue quality work to prevent those kind of strains from happening.
This is like skater jumps and things like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it can be that. Well, like mobility exercise, I mean, some of this I might depend on, again, specifically what's going on with you. Like, so what I understand is like the main kind of like injuries that are happening are like little tweaks and strains, like kind of where around like knee attachment muscles. Is that right? Yeah. So, I mean, basically, you'd want to make sure that those muscles remain able to move through a full range of motion, and in a way that's not straining them. Do you do any like foam rolling, or like use the lacrosse ball or anything like that?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you
I roll out
notice?
my. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I roll out my back a lot with foam rollers
Okay, you roll
and
at your
like my
back.
hamstring.
Okay. Do you kind of notice a lot of like tightness and stiffness or trigger points? Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Especially well. So at the last tournament, I started with some tightness in my left hamstring. It went up my like lat and my back muscles, and then into my neck.
Okay. Yeah. 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 That's
Sort of went
exactly
up
the
the
kind of
chain.
thing. Yeah, everything's connected, and this is why like, doing mobility work, mobilizations and things like that can have a big effect, kind of just keep you loose. Like, so I think like, if you can get rid of those kind of things, yeah, maybe you'll lose like a little bit of strength over the month, but your performance on the field is going to be a lot better if you're feeling better, right? If all the muscles and things that you do have can operate properly, that's actually probably going to make, at this point, probably going to make more of a difference than whatever specific strength and power work that you do in the next month. And I know it's
Right.
counterintuitive, but that is my opinion at this point. So what I mean by like mobilization work would be like, so for example, for me, I have kind of chronic tightness in my upper back, right? And so for me, like what that means is like, I just noticed that as I go through my life, like the more that I just take a few minutes and do maybe like full kind of like big movements like this, or I do movements like this, the more that I do that, just the looser everything stays. Or like maybe it's more like, because that's connected to the neck. So it's like the more that I do this or do
Right.
like this, what I mean by mobilizations, it's just like you're kind of doing dynamic stretches basically. And what I've noticed is like basically like the more you do it, the better. And then your body just feels better. It stays looser. These trigger points kind of stay at bay a little bit more. You move better, you feel better, and then you perform better because your body is, feeling better. So
Right.
there's less tension that's unnecessary. So especially as you're talking about that hamstring thing all the way up through your neck, there it's kind of like there's going to be different things, and this is where like a physical therapist can also help too, because anything that's kind of rehabby tends to be a little bit like a mobilization as well. And I think the key is to I mean it's the thing that's kind of tough because like it's not that hard and it doesn't and no particular repetition of me doing this is changing anything, but it is just the accumulation of this like
It's about the
staying in
consistency.
class, the consistency of the staying in motion. And then, you know, if I'm doing it consistently, like, okay, as I go to get lunch, I'm just going to do some of this stuff for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then, like, okay. And then when I go and do whatever, I'm just going to do some of this. Like, when I'm in that habit of doing all that, things feel better. And then things feel better. And then you stop doing it. And then, and then things feel worse because that's just kind of how it goes. But I think it's like part of the learning process of how your body works and how to keep it going, especially as you are not getting any younger, and neither am I.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the key is, I would maybe like, let's see. So if I was going to put this into actionable, like, so far, does that sound good? Is this something that you want to try?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if I were to put this into actionable steps, I mean, first you're seeing a physical therapist, so pay attention to whatever kind of exercises they give you, and those could be kind of hints or clues as to like mobilization exercises. Maybe if you do some exercises with resistance with your physical therapist, it could just mean doing those same kind of movements or similar movements without weight, you know, during the day. And I would just kind of pick maybe some of your favorite, like some of the things that feel like really good, or like, or it could be like also other inspiration might be like yoga poses that you know really act like stretch out certain muscles, but then you're gonna kind of like get into them and out of them repeatedly, or just big movements that are moving. I think especially like hips. Hips is probably a big one for you, and then knees as well, probably. So like could be, you know, some. I'm not going to prescribe you on exercises, but like that's what I kind of like. Again, pay attention to what your physical therapist tells you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in general, it's about moving your joints through a full range of motion, finding exercises that do that, and finding exercises that you know, are big and kind of like connect the full chain. And it can be even as simple as like one thing that's like really kind of feels dumb, but is something that a physical therapist like showed me once. Is just like, you know, make big poses, like stretch yourself out, do big lunges, like just, you know, explore the range of motion that you have. And even
Uh-huh.
doing stuff like
The
that,
like
like that's
outer
enough.
reaches.
Exactly. So if you just like make like some kind of crazy walk from one room to the other, and that's how you move through your apartment for the rest of the month, like
Uh-huh.
that in of itself would be a way to do that, right?
I honestly think that might also help with some of the like bad mental self-talk, just because I'll feel ridiculous.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That can help with that as well. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I like
Okay,
that.
cool.
I also, yeah, and I appreciate so I like the idea of focusing on smaller, more consistent work as opposed to trying to like fix everything in one lower workout. And then if like I tweak something at the lower workout, or if I don't even do the lower workout, being really hard on myself, that's going to like lead to a lot of like putting too much weight on those
Exactly.
weightlifting workouts.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I'm telling you, those weightlifting workouts for the next month, like those are not where it's at for you for now. As
That's
much as I love
important to
weightlifting.
hear. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
As
All
much as
right.
what? What did you say?
As much as I love weightlifting, I mean,
Yes. Yeah. Well, it is well founded how much you love weightlifting. I'm very familiar.
okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, your situation is kind of specific, but this might be helpful for others, especially, I mean, I'm an aging athlete and it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
So this might be helpful for others in that situation too. I'll stop recording.